WSL is here. It is back this weekend. The 2025-2026 season is set. Chelsea are back and better than ever. The reigning champions. They just picked up their 6th straight. They're gunning for their 7th straight WSL title. The London City Lioness is the first ever independent team owned by Michelle Kang, are the newly promoted team in the WSL, and matches start this weekend, Friday, September 5th, and a huge one, Chelsea against Man City, and Saturday is Arsenal London City Lionesses. McCall, it's like we get the 2 best games.
Those schedulers know what they're doing, man. That is liftoff. What a great start. I'm so excited.
It's going to be so much fun. And there are some new rules, a little bit of new wrinkles into the WSL this year because the league is trying to expand to 14 teams. At the end of this 2025-2026 season, 2 sides will be promoted from the WSL2. The top 2 teams will automatically be in the WSL. Now, the bottom team from the WSL and the 3rd place team from the WSL2 are going to go into a playoff game to see who stays in the WSL or if the 3rd place team gets promoted. So we'll cover all that in like 9 months. We got time for that, but just so everyone knows, it's a little different. Let's talk top of the table though, because that's where all the fun is had in the WSL. The title contenders, the big 3, Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester City. Darian, is it going to be close this year? Because Chelsea kind of ran away with it by the end of last season.
The parity in the WSL is getting much, much better. I think it's going to be much more unpredictable. I don't think Chelsea will be able to repeat an invincible season. If they do, you can run this back and clown me for it because that would be incredible. More power to them. But I think with the player movement, the growth of like even a Manchester United, I think London City Lionesses, everyone's saying middle of the table. I actually think they're going to do much better than middle of the table. I think they'll be a more consistent, solidified team that's going to be difficult to break down with all of their veteran experience. And then Manchester City. I'm knocking on wood right now that they don't have the same amount of injuries they had last year. That was the biggest issue for them as to why I think they simply weren't able to compete against a Chelsea or even an Arsenal later in the season. And Jen Beattie, I know we're going to talk about her, but she talked too about how Arsenal have struggled on the domestic side. And I think it's so much more open. Brighton, Aston Villa, we're knocking down some of the giants and putting goals away. It's going to be up in the air. It feels almost like NWSL-esque of who the hell knows what's going to happen.
That's the best part about it. Now, I don't want to go against Jen Beattie, an Arsenal GOAT and legend and superstar in the WSL. But there is something about this Arsenal team this year that coming off of a Champions League win, that psychological impact that the team has, knowing that they took down Barcelona, a team that knocked out Chelsea, and that Arsenal haven't won the WSL. They want that trophy. All they want is to finish first. I think that if there is something that you want so badly and you're willing to put all your chips in that basket, we could see an upset this year where Chelsea maybe doesn't finish first.
I'm going to go Chelsea is still going to be number 1, Arsenal number 2, but it's going to be neck and neck. It's going to be really tight. I mean, Arsenal has McCabe, Catley, like Caldente, Kim Little, Chloe Kelly, Russo. First of all, everyone's going to be watching their matches, right? Chloe Kelly is the star of the world right now. Everyone wants to watch where she's playing. So they'll draw a lot. Their fans will be huge. I just think Chelsea, the difference is Sonia Bonpastor. She knows how to manage her players and she has a lot of depth. And then the injection back of Sam Kerr. I think it's just going to be incredibly hard to score on Chelsea. Whereas I think Arsenal and City are going to let in a few more goals than them, but Chelsea's back line, it's going to be hard. And then they have some people that are going to bang in some goals as well. So I think it's going to be close, but I'm going Chelsea first, Arsenal second.
Okay, McCall, you're talking about the Chelsea defense. Now, Naomi Girma, she came in January to the Blues and dealt with a bit of a knock. I don't know, we didn't see her as much as maybe American fans thought we would see the U.S. center back. What do you expect Girma's role to be with Chelsea this year?
First of all, Girma can stop any front line on her own. Watching her, whoever their most dangerous attacker is, she'll neutralize it. So that alone, right? And then they have, Millie Bright back there, other really quality players, in their spine. That's just going to be really difficult to break down. But again, like I said, I think Slager's head coach of Arsenal struggled with managing her players last year and her player selection. I think that was in the end the difference for them. Whereas I think Bonpastor, she always puts the best foot forward, keeps her players healthy, and has a lot of depth to choose from. So it's Chelsea's game.
Well, it helps for Chelsea when you basically have 2 starting 11s, 3
No,
starting
absolutely.
11s at times.
Yes.
To me, the depth of Chelsea is so far superior. And if they bring in a Alyssa Thompson, I mean, they just know how to stack their team in every sort of way, whether they adapt the way that they're playing so that they can plug and play certain players against whoever their opponent is. It's consistently a wall to play against. Whereas they look at the likes of an Arsenal and Leah Williamson is missing the first few matches because of an injury. I'm like, oh, that's a massive loss. I actually don't know how they fill those shoes. And to me, Arsenal with Renee Sledgers, I think last year her biggest issue was not adapting when they played against people, trying to build out of the back when they shouldn't be building out of the back. It's rainy, the pitch is bad, go long. A team is pressing high, break the press through a long ball. You don't always have to play out. And I think the first couple of matches with Arsenal will tell us how much she's grown as a manager to adapt to games and adapt with the players that are available to her. That's going to be the biggest tell for me of, are Arsenal going to be able to do it domestically? We'll see.
When you look at the first 3 matches, Darian, for Arsenal, because that's exactly what I did, how are they going to set the tone for this season? London City Lionesses, which is going to be a great test. Like, I'm so excited to see how the Lionesses roll out, but really how Arsenal responds. Are they in control of the game? Do they start fast? Are they controlling the tempo as the reigning Champions League winner? Okay, so then Arsenal takes on West Ham and then Manchester United. To me, those are 3 very good tests to see how Arsenal is going to fare this season. Even with some of the injuries that they have, players unavailable, are we going to see Olivia Smith without her coming into this match and what's going to happen? But are we going to see Taylor Hines? I think that's a defender for Arsenal that I'm intrigued to see. She traded back into Arsenal at this point. She was an academy player there for a long time and away for the club for 7 years coming in. To me, there's just something about these first few weeks for Arsenal that are going to set the tone for the absolute entirety of the season for them.
It's a bonus because, like, I'm anxious to see a couple things. Obviously, with Leah Williamson out, Steph Catley for me is better as an outside back, but they've moved her to center back. And now without Leah next to her, that's going to create a little bit of uncertainty. And then Jenna Neiswanger, there's not really a position for her at left back anymore. So are they going to look to, possibly move her in the midfield, move her up top? Like, are you just going to keep her as depth? Like, what's going to happen with my little girlie there? And yeah, I just think they have a really tough first 3 matches and some question marks starting the season, not as they would wish. And yeah, Hines is tough. We'll see how she does if she is in that left back position and, how she inserts herself into this lineup. And yeah, oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I want to touch on Manchester City as well, because this is another top 3 and their transfer window, what they were able to do. They brought in Jade Rose out of Harvard. She's the Canadian center back that we've seen a lot in CONCACAF. If you watch the college game in America, she played for Harvard. Sydney Lohman, guys, the midfielder from Bayern. We saw her a lot with Germany at the Euros this summer, but there were also some big losses. Jill Roord out of City, Layli Alexandri to Barcelona. To me, Darian, this Manchester City side without Champions League this year has a real chance to contend for the title, because the last time City wasn't competing in Champions League, they only lost out on the league on goal differential. But how much of that is going to fall on the health of some of City's players?
All of it falls on the health. Like we said, Chelsea's
heartbreaker.
superior in their depth. Someone can be out for a couple months. Oh, don't worry. We'll slot someone else in, or we'll acquire another player that's dying to come play for us because we got the bag. City, on the other hand, as soon as they lost Bunny Shaw last season, Medema was out with injuries on and off, it crumbled for them. There was no answer up top, and to win games, you got to score goals. If your leading goal scorers, a Golden Boot winner of the last 2 seasons, is out, who else are you relying on to put those away? And so I think we need to see City utilize their depth much more and be able to rely on those players and those rotations. And again, adapt how Chelsea do. I think these other teams, like I'm assuming our Chelsea's going to be top of the league once again. These other teams need to take a note and look at the malleability of that squad and how they can get the best out of it to be consistent throughout the season. I don't think anybody else has that as their superpower.
Yeah, malleability.
Yeah.
Here's
the thing with City. City's going to score goals. They have Shaw, Medema, Caroline, Hemp. They're going to score goals, but they're going to let in too many. I don't think their defensive line is strong enough. I think those games are gonna be exciting because they're gonna get scored on a lot and score a lot, but it's gonna be a problem for them this season. I think they're gonna let in too many goals.
Oh, a team that's hoping to, cause some chaos in the WSL is the newly promoted London City Lionesses, owned by Michelle Kang. It's an independent team in the WSL. They're in the top flight. Darian, you said you predict them higher than mid-table. How are the London City Lionesses going to disrupt the WSL?
McCall, you might disagree with me because I know on our segment on YouTube we talked about this, but I love a very veteran heavy team, and I think they are moving so smart to bring in like an Aslani, Lenari, Lana Kennedy, Katie Zellum, players that know this league and can set the tone for a team. That standard of that team, in my opinion, is going to be incredibly high. And when you have a team that's very structured defensively, everybody knows how to play both sides of the ball, are willing to play both sides of the ball, the style of play is going to come. How they're going to score goals is going to come. But to come in and be a fortress to go against with that experience and that problem-solving ability that veterans like a McCall Zerboni have in the league, I think that you can build a team so much more consistently than if you brought in a bunch of young players from everywhere that are really trying to prove themselves. I think this is a team that they already know. Everybody watches women's sports. Everybody's going to watch us. Shout out to that sponsorship on the front of their kits now. Mm-hmm. They're going to be very, very difficult to play against.
Yeah. What kind of style do you possibly think they're going to play, if you have a guess, with the head coach, Jocelyn Precier, who was with PSG, brought them into the Champions League? I mean, this is a pretty successful manager. And because there are so many veterans, any idea what we could see from them in terms of tactics on the pitch?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very French, methodical possession style sort of play, especially with veterans who don't want to run as much anymore. They're going to be very artful in how they pick apart the opponent. They're going to be patient. And it's going to be sophisticated football, but it's not going to be like fast paced or anything like that. It's going to be very organized. And this is why I hear what Dee is saying, like bringing established veterans is like, yes, okay, good players right away. But I think they're going to rely on individual brilliance for the first half of the season because it's going to take some time for them to gel and become a team, because younger players are more malleable. They're just more spongy, more flexible in their style of play to get on with the team. Whereas veterans who they're just more set in their style of play and the way that they do things. So getting everybody getting everybody on the same page with that many amazing world-class veterans is going to take Jocelyn a little bit of a time. But once they get it, oh boy, they're going to be really, really good.
15 players brought in this year, which is different than what we typically see from newly promoted teams. But the precedent has absolutely been set by all these transfers, by the moves, the money that's being thrown around, by what Michelle Kang has actually said to the media in terms of she is building this club to be at a minimum mid-tier WSL, setting the precedent that they are going to compete. I mean, you don't bring in Champions Leagues winners and league winners from all these different fabulous places, someone like Danielle Van de Donk, to run your midfield if you don't want to be at the top. Paul Brown in our YouTube is saying that one thing London City Lionesses is going to do to compete is beat most of the teams in the lower half of the table. That's going to help. Absolutely, especially when you consider Bristol, Crystal Palace, both of those teams who just yo-yoed, coming up to the WSL and then dropping right back down. So where will London City Lionesses finish? So we did get the take from Jen Beattie, our Arsenal legend. So let's see where she put London City Lionesses at the end of the year.
London City Lionesses at number 6. And I really want to key in on them because Michelle Moneybag King, we love you, girl. Come on. Keep investing. They signed the likes of Katie Zellum, Daniel Van de Donk, Kumagai, Elena Lanari. I mean, Aslani, we could name literally their whole roster of how much Jakobsen, how many players they have signed. And you think that's going to push them up to 6?
I do. Look, I think 6 is very strong. Don't get me wrong. But I think I had the same reaction as everyone, right? I'm thinking every day it was like this new.
Yeah, who else is she going to sign?
Yeah, and for me, the biggest thing, it was experience. It wasn't youth that hadn't established themselves. And for me, I love seeing that in a team. And I think it'll take time for them to gel. We'll see what happens, but I think everyone can't wait to watch this team play because they're independently owned, as you said, from Michelle Kang, and I think they've just taken this league by storm. Everyone's talking about them back home.
Yeah,
I can't wait to watch them play. So much experience. It'll just see how long it takes to get them to gel.
Jen Beatty putting the Lionesses at 6th. Darian, what's that face? What?
I do think I know we're going to do table, but I think United, London City Lionesses are going to be fighting for that 4th position.
Whoa, top 4?
I think United's going to be a disappointment.
I
don't think their roster, and I'm just like, say what?
I don't think United did enough with their.
You are one of the biggest clubs in the world. Go spend that moolah.
McCall, go on. You're the United girl.
And I feel very near and dear to this because I'm a huge United fan since I was a little baby girl, and it means a lot to me. I'm like, dude, we don't have it on the men's side. You're really making me sad. Can we do it on the women's side? Go spend that bag, get those players. They were out there. London Lionesses grabbed them. Why wasn't United going after them? They were there. We all saw them in the Euros. Freaking grab them, take them. What happened there? And I think that, we're going to slip down the table. I think United is not being in consideration of top 4 anymore.
Wow. Ooh. Okay, McCall. So you have United dropping out of the top 4. They finished 3rd last year, 44 points, just 4 points behind second place Arsenal, 1 point ahead of Manchester City that was sat in 4th place. So if you have United out of the top 4, McCall, where do you have London City Lionesses?
Well, I'm just going to tell you, PTJ is going to have a year. She's going to be receiving a lot of shots. So she might be up for the Golden Glove again because she's going to have her hands full and getting a lot of heat. I think the Lioness, it's going to be between United and Lioness fighting for that position.
For that top 4 spot?
Oh, you agree with me. Yeah. I really think
a 5. I'm going 5.
That position is very open. And really, I actually really believe in the London City Lionesses with their veteran. It's not going to be the prettiest of football. Is it going to be the flashiest? Probably not. But this is a team that I think are so intelligent. You can't write off how pragmatic all of these players are. And the roster makes a lot of sense with them. Whereas United, I didn't see enough in the offseason of movement to get big enough players that are. Rolfo's a great move. I love the way she plays on the left wing. She plays wingback up and down the pitch. Great on both sides of the ball. But it's not enough to me, again, that depth aspect of, is this team going to get it over the line and really knock out?
Rolfo is one of those players. Well, she'll draw in, but she needs someone to dish to or someone to serve it to her to finish. She's a fox in the box. She's really smart. Her timing, when those balls come in, she just knows how to find that ball, but someone needs to give it to her.
I got to laugh at David telling us to wash our mouths out. When I used to swear as a kid, I would get told I would get soap in my mouth.
Same.
Brought back some trauma.
Same. I'd get a bar soap.
They don't do it like that anymore, do they?
No.
Guys, no doubt about it that United just didn't throw as much into this offseason, into the transfer window as even as someone very much a neutral. They know that they needed to be investing more, especially if you do think about the men's side of things and everything that has gone on there. The women, they want to be competing. United wants to be at the top of the table. I don't necessarily see London City Lionesses finishing in a top 4 spot, Darian. So we will have to circle back on that one. I think that they could be as high as 5th. But even when you look last year at the table, Brighton sat in that 5th place spot, which was a little bit surprising. They contended, but there was a 15-point gap between that 5th place spot and the 4th place spot. That's a lot for any team to make up, including a newly promoted team in the London City Lionesses, no matter how much money you have behind you. This is also a brand new group. When you bring in 15 new players, you have to have a little bit of time to get together. And if you want to be in the top 4, you have to start competing from day one, picking up big points over opposition.
These players did not sign up for a team to not be in the top 5 at least. You do not leave these massive clubs, these Champions League winning clubs, to go and be mid-table.
What if there's enough money there? What if there's enough
I was
money?
saying, if you're getting paid right and you get to live in London and you're sold on a dream that you are going to have this impact and, you know, an amazing season, these are all your hopes, of course, when you go. But like, you also sign not knowing who else is going to sign after you. So it's like, you keep bringing in all these names that are very established, that it's like, okay, I have to work with these people. We got to get on the same page ASAP.
I have belief.
I love it. The hope. It's a dangerous thing, Darian. It's a really dangerous thing. Okay, what about some of these other teams? We talked about United. What about Liverpool? They've got a new manager in Gareth Taylor. They sold Olivia Smith. This is very interesting to see what's happening with Liverpool in this season, because where they finished last year was 7th, very mid, McCall. But what are the expectations for Liverpool this year?
Well, the expectations are their name. They're Liverpool. They have been a renowned club for so many years. And for whatever reason, players aren't wanting to go there anymore. And, you know, they didn't make a ton of, you know, transfers or exciting moves. And so I don't have them in the top 4 or 5 either. And I think they're going to start slipping down as well.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's too much of a surprise for Liverpool. I want to give some love to Brighton because of what they did last year, finishing 5th. Now there was that huge gap, but they contended. They took points off Chelsea. They beat Arsenal, who go on to be eventual Champions League winners. And to me, Brighton has a clear identity of how they want to play with the ball, possession, building out of the back. That did burn them at times last year when they would get stripped, but some of the additions that they've brought in, goalkeeper Ndozie, the Nigerian goalkeeper from Paris FC, Rosa Kafaji from Arsenal, I think those are huge additions. And then, of course, Michelle Ajiman, who is still on loan from Arsenal. And I don't think you bring in a player like that to a team like Brighton if you don't think we're going to stay at least in 5th contending, because there's also been this giant narrative around a 5th place WSL team that they finish in 5th and then the next season, whoop, they drop right back down to the bottom of the table. And to me, Brighton, in some of their acquisitions this offseason and this summer, have said, we're going to stay competing with these teams at the top. It's giving like small London City Lionesses energy in terms of, we want to be there. We want to be a team that can continue to take down teams. Last year, it wasn't just a one-off for Brighton. Let's talk some players that we're excited to watch this year. Players that we want to see come in and everyone's got to keep their eye on. Dee, where are you taking that neon yellow highlighter on these rosters? Who are you watching?
Michelle Ajiman, girl. I cannot wait to get my kit. She is the player I've just loved watching her growth, what she represents, being a Black woman and going and balling out in the Euros. She's hella young. Now she's with the team as well. I think this is such a smart move, a career move for her as well, because now she gets to be the focal point of a team. The team is going to be built around supplying her the ball, getting her goals, getting her stats up, leading this team to that, hopefully remaining in the mid-table and playing spoiler to a lot of these big dogs. But I love her game. I think watching her growth and development, even over just the last 2 seasons of watching her, then up to the Euros and seeing her take that role of being a game changer off the bench in stride and dealing with the pressure. Now she has a runway with a comfortable season with stars around her. Fran Kirby supplying her in the 18. I think that she is going to be even more of a breakout star than we saw at the Euros, because we'll get to watch her every weekend.
Mm-hmm. And Ajiman being at Brighton gives her a leg up. I think just more opportunity than being at Arsenal because she's going to be a starter. She's going to be a first team player, but it's also not at this superstar club that it is expected to win the title. So she gets to shine and flash all her skills, Ajiman, but the spotlight isn't as bright as it would be if she was the starting striker needing to score all the goals for Arsenal. I love this for the young player. It's a good shout, Darian. I like it. McCall, what are you thinking for this year?
I've got a duo I'm keeping my eye on. And it's funny because we got to talk about them a few weeks ago when we were doing best 11 for Leos. So Aslani and Van de Donk. I am thrilled to see their partnership in the midfield together. But it's kind of like I said, they're both Leos, which an attribute of them is they're stubborn. And so, it's like who's going to kind of lean into whose style of play and how are they going to get on the same page and start ticking all cylinders? Because if they can find a strong partnership and duo and really yin and yang each other, they're going to be really exciting to watch and only highlight and lift each other up. It might take them some time, but I can't even believe that they're on the same team. Two of the best midfielders for me in the world right now. And they're going to be on this new London City Lioness team together. So Aslani and Van de Donk, can't wait.
Yeah, Van de Donk for me, I'm very excited to see her back in the WSL and leading. I mean, she's the headline signer for London City Lionesses, how she fits in. Guys, I love all these shouts. I still want to watch Chloe Kelly week in and week out. Can she continue to level up her game, continue to be the superstar that we know she is? And even when we see her with England, she's not always getting that starting nod. She's coming off the bench. She's being a game changer so consistently. I just want to see her take that next step in maybe contending for Golden Boot at some points in this season, being at the top, being someone that her team absolutely relies on to get the job done and pick up points at the end of the day. I want so much for Chloe Kelly because I love watching her play. She's such a personality, and that's what I lean into. I love it.
Yeah, I love that shout. And I think because we got to watch her, another player at the Euros, take that role in stride. And when you can see, when you're coming off the bench, you're not always in the best headspace. You're a little salty that you're not starting or you're getting minutes, you're not caught up to the game. Just ice in her veins. So now with Arsenal, after the year she had trying to leave City, and she's finally there, hopefully she starts off with a bang and we just see her take it in stride and just ball out. I love that shout for Chloe Kelly.